This is a phone that has become a cult classic for some reason. The Samsung S20 FE is considered the best FE that Samsung has released, which sounds weird to say when it runs Android 13, but I gotta say that after revisiting this phone, I kind of agree. Hello everyone, this is Matt from Real World Review, and let's just get to the review. This 5-year-old phone is exactly that, but still holds up better than its Note cousin, and that's for one reason, technically two. The micro SD card slot is technically one, while the display is the main reason why this phone holds up even today. While the bezels are debatable, this 6.5-inch 1080p OLED panel on the front that's covered by the Gorilla Glass 3 is the star of the show. This runs at 120 Hz and has an optical fingerprint scanner under the screen, but that makes content and security spectacular on this phone. Truly, the quality on the Note 20 actually looks a little bit better, and that might be because the screen seems brighter, but this 120 Hz display is literally a game changer as it keeps the phone again feeling smooth as it was when it launched. There is a hole punch for the front camera, but it's truly a wonder as to why they put this great screen here and then put a slow screen on the more expensive Samsung Note 20. As for the frame, it's a shiny aluminum, one that has a SIM card tray with a micro SD card slot on the top, as well as a microphone. The left side has nothing, like normal Samsung phones, while the right side is where the volume and power buttons are. The bottom is where the loudspeaker is, the one that pairs with the earpiece for a great stereo feel, and then we have another microphone and the USB-C 3.2 port. Like the Note 20, the back has a curved plastic, while the camera island is a metal mass with glass covering the cameras and flash. This is a 6.29-inch tall phone, while the weight is 190 grams, oddly feeling slightly heavier than the Samsung Note 20, even though it's not. While the phone did have an IP68 dust and water resistance at launch, I doubt that it does now, especially this one. This phone was not originally red. This device also has Wi-Fi 6 and 5G support, as well as ultra-wideband if you do get that phone, as not all logic boards allow for it by default. To power the phone, we get the tried and true Snapdragon 865 processor with 128 or 256 gigabytes of UFS 3.1 storage with 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM. That said, the most common variant you're going to find is 128 gigabytes of storage with 6 gigabytes of RAM. As expected, gaming on this phone is still pretty solid, but I do feel like it does get warm more often than phones that are similar to it, like the Samsung Note 20. This could be because the phone has an old battery and it's been worked on before, but even with the new battery, it does still get decently warm, never overheating, of course. The battery is a 4,500 mAh cell that, even with an old 400 plus charge cycle battery, was still pretty good. You can charge this phone at 25 watts wired, 15 watts wireless, and even reverse wireless charging, which the last two are always nice to see on corner-cutting phones like this one. Gaming and performance-wise, this phone is great. While not always the fastest, it's still great for any task you throw at it, and the 120 Hz refresh rate truly does help because, again, this phone feels faster than the Note 20, even though it technically isn't. Like I said, it's at the end of the line software-wise running Android 13, but hey, at least we still get to auto-enter on 4-digit passcodes, something that Android 14 took away from us for no reason. The cameras on paper are decent to good. In use, they're just what you would want. The front camera is weird though, being a 32 megapixel sensor. I wish it wasn't because the quality is good, but a smaller megapixel focusable sensor would have been better and probably cheaper, seeing as the camera wasn't used in any other Samsung phones. Having one-off parts like that just make the phone more expensive for no reason. We get a 32 megapixel mode and video goes up to 4K 60 frames per second, so it's not that bad. As for rear cameras, they are more conservative with the 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera, the odd 8 megapixel 3x telephoto camera, which is the same optically stabilized sensor found in the S21 FE, and the last sensor is the main 12 megapixel sensor, which is also optically stabilized. If you want 4K 60 frames per second video, it only comes from the main sensor, which is fine, but it is strange to see low megapixel counts given that the normal S20 was different. Regardless, the shots that come out of this camera still hold up pretty well, but I'll let you be the judge. I guess this is just a testament as to how well these cameras and processors are, as the shots to me look fantastic. I guess 12 megapixels isn't as bad as we remember, right? This phone is great. You can tell it to do something, and it does it. The screen is silky smooth, you get an SD card slot, and the screen replacement cost is decent. The repairability because of the back makes it easier, but then you do have some downsides. Like the Samsung A52 and A53, this phone can have some charging issues thanks to that cable that goes from the top to the bottom of the phone. This is a 78-pin connector, but it seems to be better than the trash one that the A series phones had, like the A13, A52, and A32, to name a few. That cable or connector going bad will bring screen issues, touch issues, charging issues, and can just overall fail for no reason. It's a bad design that harms the resale value of the phone, but again, not as common as the A-series trash phones, unless you drop the phone a lot. That said, this phone is very fixable outside of the logic board. What surprises me is how well this phone holds up simply because of that 120Hz refresh rate. I noticed this when I was using the similarly spec'd Samsung Z Fold 2, as that has a 60Hz refresh rate on the outer screen and 120Hz on the inside screen, but the Note 20 actually reminded me of how important the 120Hz displays really are. That said, 120Hz LCD phones have proven to me that 120Hz doesn't always mean that it is going to be a great screen. Being stuck on Android 13 is great for those that like to set a password for 4 digits and not have to press enter, as Android 14 and newer require 6 digits or more. But other than that, Android 13 will eventually show the phone's age and prevent you from getting the benefits that One UI 7 or newer bring, like swiping down from the left for notifications and swiping down from the right for quick settings. Oh wait, you didn't like that? Someone should tell Samsung. Using phones like the S20 FE is strange because in a few ways there's not much that has changed with the FE lines over the years, with the S21 FE being identical in many ways. The only thing that really changed is the cameras a few times and obviously the design, as well as the screen designs. But at the end of the day, the FE line is supposed to be a cheaper Galaxy S, but this phone in particular ended up being a cult classic, and I think that the micro SD card slot is to blame. That and the fact that the phone is just great. The vibrating motor is good enough and the operating system is old, with no option to add a custom ROM because Samsung and Qualcomm complain about security risk on phones that they don't want to support anymore. But yeah, this phone is still great. And that's my review of the Samsung S20 FE, the surprisingly still good phone on a budget. But what do you think? Should your money be put into a different phone for the price? Let me know what you think about this phone. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for being a part of the 1%, and thanks for watching.